Welcome to PM Express Business Edition. It has been described as a program that would aid the recovery of the economy. But I'm talking about the Ghana Cares Program, an initiative aimed to transform the economy, or call it the Obatampa Program. But are we being too ambitious and optimistic about this program? What about other initiatives the managers of the economy are instituting to put the economy on a strong footing and stabilize it in these challenging times because of COVID-19? You're looking at the Ghana Cares Program and other initiatives the government is putting in place to stabilize the economy. How can we better manage the economy amid a third COVID-19 wave? We are assessing Ghana's economic recovery programs. Our guest tonight is Dr. John Kumah. He's the Deputy Minister of Finance. These issues and other issues wrapped up on PM Express Business Edition. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to PM Express Business Edition as we talk about recovery programs and the Ghanaian economy with the Deputy Minister of Finance, Dr. John Kumah. Doc, welcome to PM Express.
Thank you very
much.
And
how are you settling in at the Ministry of Finance? How are you doing?
Well, gradually. The good thing is that I met a very welcoming team led by the Honorable Minister himself, Honorable Ken. He believes in teamwork and wine.
I see.
So it's really and very supportive. I mean, everybody is willing to provide the necessary information to help you to fit into the team. So I'm very happy. I think so far so good.
So far so very good.
Oh yes.
Just on a low note, I mean, just last week you celebrated your birthday. I mean, in the public service, how is it like where you have to be careful on what you do so the linkage is not drawn that just when he came into public service, he's putting together a lavish birthday party, even though we have COVID and all those things?
Wow. So, well, I just thank God that he added 1 year to my years. It was also a public holiday, so I was actually in Accra. Okay. But the celebration took place in my constituency.
Oh, okay.
There's an orphanage in my constituency. They did the party on my behalf.
Good.
And fortunately, I received a number of donations from friends. So all the donations...
Family and friends.
Family and friends.
No strings attached.
Oh, no, really. All the donations...
Just because you are in public service, you know?
Well, all the donations have been delivered to the orphanage. Everything.
But Doc, I mean, as you look at a lot of these programs that have been put in place in trying to recover the economy, and it has to do with the Ghana Cares Program. I mean, no speech will pass today, but the finance minister not talking about the Ghana Cares Program and Obatampa and all those things. Some are saying that the challenge is now. This is a program that straddles over 3 to 4 years.
Yes.
In trying to recover the economy, let's focus here on the Ghana Cares Program first, as in one of the key programs by government that you're trying to look at to recover the economy. Why Ghana Cares Program? I mean, some are saying that there are pressing things you need to look at now. COVID, why a 3-year, 4-year program? People are not thinking about the next 5 years. You're looking at stabilizing things around.
Yeah. So, thank you. Maybe somebody hasn't heard what Ghana Cares is and what it stands for. So, the Ghana Cares is just COVID-19 alleviation and revitalization of the economy.
Oh, okay.
Or revitalization of enterprises support. So, basically, it is now. You need to stabilize the COVID economy and then you revitalize it. And you do that by doing strategic investment. And so basically, when you say Ghana Cares, it's all about how we are reviving the economy after all the difficulties that we went through since last year. So it is now, even though the period runs into the medium term up to 2024.
And you're talking about revitalizing the economy. I mean, let's even look at it also now. This program has kicked off, if I'm right.
Yes.
How are you going to finance this? Where are the sources of funding going to come from? Revenue is having its own challenges.
Yeah.
In having a program that will bring us quickly out of this COVID shadows and wars and problems, How are you going to fund this program?
Okay, so Ghana Cares is one of the innovative strategies of this government to pull this economy back from the downdrams that we found ourselves last year. And if you check, in fact, the Ghana Cares is a 100 billion cedis target, 100 billion cedis. And the idea is to get 30 billion cedis within our own government resources locally by expanding our revenue base and increasing our revenues. Then also we want to raise 70 billion from the private sector. We are going to do that through a number of ways, from our development partners, through PPP arrangement, a number of interventions through, at the moment, we are focusing on GIF, the Ghana Investment Infrastructure Fund, to raise a lot of financing, especially for infrastructure interventions. So, yes, it is very important that you have a very strategic program that is seeking to bring vitality back into the economy, because we all know that all over the world, COVID has brought down the strength of every economy. We are not different from the other economies of the world. But the good news is that because of this strategic intervention by government is now able to strategically invest in the certain productive sectors of the economy, so that we'll be able to open the economy back, create more jobs for young people, revitalize the financial services like the banks and all that, so that we can begin to see liquidity and much more activity in the economy. That's basically what...
Did I hear donor partners? What has happened to Ghana Beyond Aid then?
Well, Ghana is not living on aid. And Ghana Beyond Aid is a vision that we want to get to. We are not saying that we won't take support from our partners. That is not the meaning of Ghana Beyond Aid.
Doesn't it start right now? If you did in the future, you're going to less depend on donors. Let's start now and raise money internally.
That's exactly what we are doing. So if you check our budget, you realize that since the Ghana Beyond Aid vision, Ghana has consistently reduced the percentage of support that we seek as maybe grants or donation from other development partners. At the moment, we are doing a lot, maybe 90% plus of our budget financing on our own resources. And that's the target of the Ghana Beyond Aid, where we are able to fund our budget using our own resources. Even if it means you have to borrow, you are borrowing based on your own financial resources. And your ability to be able to borrow to support your budget shows the capacity that you have demonstrated. So when we say Ghana Beyond Aid, it doesn't mean that you won't go out there to seek for financing in the form of borrowing or any activity. But you are saying that you are not taking it as a grant, or without their help, you cannot run your budget. That is exactly what we are saying, that we want to be, and every country in the world needs each other. So at a point, you may need support in one form or the other, and we welcome that. I mean, we have grant component of the budget, but that's very minimal. I'm sure if you check 2020 budget, and even this year, it may not be up to
those
2% or even 3%.
Budget support programs, but there are so other loans that you are taking from outside.
If you borrow, it's your money, because you are going to pay. So when we say Ghana Beyond Aid, it doesn't mean you are not borrowing. It's your own money, except that you are giving extra time to pay in future. And so far, Ghana has stayed consistent on our repayment schedules. We have not defaulted in any time in any of these repayment schedules. So we are still moving forward on the Ghana Beyond Aid. And hopefully, if we are able to, of course, some countries want to run balanced budget where you spend equal amount of money as much as you're able to raise. So you don't spend beyond what you are able to raise. But those are very few countries. Majority of countries in the world spend beyond what they are able to raise. And so once you are spending beyond what you are raising, there are a few options. You are either increasing your taxes or borrowing to close the gap. And at the moment, borrowing is part of the programs to achieve the Ghana Beyond Aid. it's not a question of borrowing, but what you apply the loans to do. Is it helping to preserve your people in era of COVID? Because in these difficult times, don't forget we are still in the COVID.
Yeah.
2 years ago, we didn't used to sit like this with these things in our faces. What it shows that a lot has changed in the world, and we are still in that global difficulty. So even in Ghana, the surge has not stopped. We must not forget that even though we have all collectively done well in containing COVID, we are still not out of the woods. And so all our actions, we must remember that we are not in normal times. So obviously there will be difficulties. There will be times that you have to fall on other means of getting revenues too.
And a quick one before even you move on, as we still delve deep into the Ghana case program. You talked about the fact that, yes, we are borrowing, we have not defaulted. Yep. But if you look at the remarks coming in from your donor partners like the World Bank and the IMF, you are high risk of debt distress now. The fear is that you could drift into a distressed country. That is the fear. And isn't that worrying for you? If indeed you are borrowing and they are going into sectors that can repay back and touching those rights, but the concern is that you're taking on too much debt.
Well, that is a fact, but don't forget that some countries have not been labeled as high distress.
But you are at risk of high distress,
yet sometimes they default. Some others have been labeled as highly distressed, yet they don't default. You get it? So it's not about the labeling. It's about building your capacity to be able to meet your debt obligations.
You want to get there? If you don't matter about the label, it has implications on your borrowing from the credit rating agencies and all the rest. I believe that you don't want us to get there without having that tag.
Well, you see, the fact of the matter is that in this particular COVID era, I'm sure the description they are giving to Ghana will be given to so many other countries. Because every country at the moment is borrowing to shore up their economy. And the focus now in any country is not about how much debt you're accumulating. It's about how are you protecting your people, how are you ensuring that they are surviving. And we in Ghana, we've been lucky. Apart from the fact that the debt levels are rising, like His Excellency the Vice President said, there has been high levels of prudent management of the economy. So all the indicators that show that your debts are going up and the reasonable consequences of having high debt, we have avoided that situation in Ghana. For instance, we are seeing growth, especially in the first quarter. Inflation too has been in single digit. We have also seen a very stable exchange rate with the currency. And then we have high import cover for the country. Over 5 months is one of the highest in our history. Okay, we have about $11 billion sitting in our import reserve. So all these are indications that despite the COVID and the difficult global environment that we find ourselves, Ghana has done well when you look at the critical indicators that show that the economy is being managed properly.
You don't think that we are getting to that tipping point? You think that for you, the end will justify the means, even though the risk of being classified or tagged as a debt distressed country is near?
Well, there is no point in being hyper about being described as highly debt distressed. And look, a country like Japan has 235% of their debt to GDP. 235. Will you call them as highly distressed?
They have more assets. They've built up more assets to absorb those
And
debts.
You think we don't have assets?
I don't think that...
70, we are around 76%. Somebody is at 235. He's not crying. We are 75, and all of a sudden we want us to believe that our own is not manageable. Rest assured that the managers of the economy currently understand what it takes to manage this country competently. And so far, even though we are still in the COVID, if you check 2021 budget, and especially with a mid-year review, government has disciplined itself to stay within the fiscal limits or the fiscal consolidation arrangement, so that we are not even asking to spend more in the mid-year budget. We are staying within the fiscal deficit of 9.5%. All these are strong indications that despite the difficulties, government is determined to stay disciplined so that we'll be able to control and avoid the excesses that may come from the debt distress situation that we are talking about. So I strongly believe that we are on course. Another key thing we need to address to avoid the danger that you talk about is to increase our revenue collection. And at the moment, we are doing about 13% of our revenue to GDP, which is woefully inadequate. So government has done a number of things. We are introducing digitization. We are introducing the Ghana.gov. You know,
almost 21 billion
within
ending
very
July.
short time.
Yeah.
So what it means is that the measures government is putting in place on the economy in terms of expanding the tax base and reaching out to more revenue collection base is yielding results. And I believe by the time the year ends, government will be within target of increasing up to 20%. That the target is to do about 20%. Even if we do 17 or 18%, it will be better from the 13%. All those things will then reflect in our primary balance, the net borrowing rate, to see that we are not adding on to the debt, but we are gradually working to reverse to the Fiscal Responsibility Act threshold of 5%, which is what we have to get to, because because last year Parliament had to waive that threshold of 5%, and so all the actions of government points to that fiscal discipline and focus that we want to be able to contain this economy and manage it prudently.
Doc, you cited some key indicators that demonstrated that you've done well over the period.
Yeah.
There are some who are saying that we may be at the tipping point. Now, inflation is going up from 7.8 to 9%. The cedi, even though from year to date is still under 1%, we've seen it come under some serious pressure over the last 3 weeks or so, because some are saying that now the economy is open and people are important to finance stuff. Now the real game has begun. Whether indeed it was due to prudent management or people were not important and all those things. So there are some key indicators that are some are saying that we are just on the tipping line. And this will be a real test of, quote, the so-called prudent management of the economy.
Well, I don't know what indicators people are watching.
Inflation is going up.
Relax about that. I understand why it's going up.
Okay.
And if I tell you, you understand it better.
Okay.
Because, you know, in the beginning of the year, government introduced a number of taxes, which took effect from May. So as at May, the inflation rate was 7.5%. But because the introduction of taxes on petroleum, you know, petroleum affects virtually everything. So the immediate reaction in the following month, June, shot it up to 7.8% because transport fares had gone up. It affects almost everything. And that is why, as at July, you saw the figure at 9% increased inflation. These are things that will usually be the immediate response when government introduces taxes. But I can tell you we have it under firm control by, oh yes, I can assure you that. By the time oh yes, because we are following the economy.
Things turn up.
Oh yes, there's no cause for alarm. People should not be unnecessarily, frightened that we are tipping point and that kind of thing. Look, Ghana, in 2016, the inflation was at 15%. We were not at tipping point.
Okay.
So if we're in single-digit inflation today, people are crying that we are tipping. Where is the tipping point?
Okay.
So it's firmly under control. And when you introduce new measures like taxes and those things, people react to it. And so it's reasonable to have immediate increments in certain things. But as I've told you, because we didn't introduce supplementary budget, we didn't introduce new measures in the mid-year budget, there's calm in the system. And so from next month, you begin to see that the stability and all these things will go down.
But I get from you that, listen, in terms of us getting to that space, we will not get there for us to be classified as debt distress, or we will get there, but let's look at where these monies are going. There's no cause for alarm.
Why are people so conscious about our debt? Why are we not talking about our assets as well? I'm sure
that should reflect in the debt to GDP ratio. 70.
Yes, but we have lots of assets in our country too. So don't be afraid. It's only when you don't know how to repay your debt that you should be worried. And I've told you that if you check, if there was any cause for alarm, it would have reflected in the other indices. You're right. So at the moment, all indicators are pointing to the positive direction. Like in the first quarter, of this COVID economy, if you grow your economy by 3.1%, it shows that something positive. And those you are quoting, the IMF and the World Bank, who say that Ghana is debt distress, they add that the capacity of Ghana to repay its debt is adequate.
To IMF?
Yes, the same
Not
IMF.
Other commercial, because you are heavy on commercial borrowing.
But the same IMF that is complaining, that you are quoting, that we are financially distressed.
The IMF said was that they don't think that you will default to the fund. Okay. But if you look at the composition of our debt, we are more exposed to commercial loans now than the DPs.
So have we defaulted?
You've not defaulted.
So what is the cause for
that? That's like going for I don't get it. So I get from you that it's not a problem at all.
At all. There's no need to create fear and panic in the air. I can assure you that if we have borrowed to build this economy, and we have the capacity to repay our debt.
Let's come back to the Ghana Cares program, and since it's about revitalizing the economy and all the rest, and let's look at last year, this year, supporting businesses, creating jobs. There are lots of businesses out there who are still complaining that we don't know where these monies went. In terms of assisting industries, assisting those critical sectors in these times, there's a lot of complaining out the dock. And I don't know whether this is according to your table, as in trying to help these critical sectors for them to get back on their feet. Hotels are still saying, listen, can we even get some reliefs? Can we even get rebates and all the rest? Because if you and I spoke to one board chairman of a hotel, and she was like, listen, I speak to other partners in the group because I'm managing. Government in all those economies are supporting their hotels heavily. But when it comes to Ghana, it's not the case. You hear about X amount of money being pumped into the economy, but where are these monies going?
Well, let me empathize with those in certain sectors of the economy that were worse hit. I mean, if you check the aviation, airlines, hotels, and several other institutions that got, badly hit with COVID. And so, yes, they may need more help. But I can tell you, the economy has gotten to where we are today, not by chance. A number of interventions have happened. And if you checked, let's look at the Bank of Ghana interventions, a number of them. For instance, there was a reduction in the cash reserve requirement for the banks. Yeah, for the banks from 10% to 8%. That gave liquidity into the system for the banks to be able to take care of more loans applications. Also, it was reduced from 8% to 6% for the rural banks and the community banks and savings and loans. Okay. They also placed 6 months moratorium on principal repayment, to various businesses, especially those who were badly affected, like the airlines and the hotels and all that. Then also there was temporary suspension of transaction fees on Momo. That may not mean a lot to you, but all those in the lower level up to 100 cedis, there's no fees.
Don't put me in the middle class.
Well, you're above the 100 cedis. That I can tell. That I can tell. So, and then they also increased the wallet limit on Momo. Now, at the moment, people can do 5,000 cedis on their phones and transfer even up to 50,000 using just your phone from one account to another account, just to promote increased electronic transactions because of COVID. So clearly a number of interventions at the monetary side. If you look at the fiscal side, government introduced what we call the CABAS, the COVID alleviation business support program through NBSSI. Indeed, when people say they haven't seen it, I may agree because maybe 1 million people want the support.
What are the posts?
I'm coming on.
Okay.
If 1 million people need support and you support 200,000 or 500,000, there are still about 800,000 or 700,000 people who have not been supported. But don't discount the support that has gone to the 200,000.
Okay.
So we cannot say that government has done nothing. Indeed, government has helped so many people through this COVID period. You remember the free water supply we needed to give. It was part of the COVID interventions, the electricity interventions. About 200 million cedis was spent to be able to provide free electricity to Ghanaians across the country, and so many things. We because COVID came, we put a number of these garment manufacturing businesses together and supported them, gave them contracts to be able to do local PPEs, and that also has empowered a number of these garment businesses in our country. SOEs, some of the state-owned enterprises in Ghana, like I can mention STC, Ghana Airport, Metromans, government needed to give them some liquidity support, some 30 million cedis, 50 million cedis, just to be able to help them survive in this period. So a number of interventions have gone on. It may not be enough, but a lot of these interventions, what has helped to preserve jobs in so many of these businesses that we see today.
But we still have
and government is doing more. And of course, especially going forward, as has been announced, government wants to create about 1 million jobs in the next medium term, beginning from now.
I'll be coming more on the job creation thing, but I'm just saying that what were the post-review mechanisms in place? Because, and this is not people shouting on radio. I have engaged some of these companies personally who are saying that, listen, George, we tried to assess the funds, we didn't get it. And these are operating in some critical sectors of the economy that even if they have even had a waiver, what were the mechanisms in place to ensure that if you sign off a check to X agency to do ABCD, they were actually sending those monies to those critical sectors?
George, I've told you, you cannot say that nobody was helped.
People were helped, all right.
Exactly.
But value for money. If you hear 200 million Ghana cedis providing free water, there are some who say, listen, we want audit of these covered funds.
There's no problem. Nobody should run away from audit. Of course, it's being done.
When are you going to finish?
But if you didn't get water or the part of the support, it doesn't mean that somebody in Kaswa didn't get. Okay? So let's not discount those who were helped. A lot of people can testify that they received food, they received support, they received water and electricity. So let's not discount that. And then also the NBSSI program, it reached out to so many people. Maybe the number of applicants were many, but there are, if you checked enough, you could have gotten beneficiaries who could testify that indeed they received some support from for their businesses. So government has done a lot of interventions in these critical times. But beyond that, as the economy is recovering, government wants to do more. At the moment, government in the mid-year budget has announced what we call the U-Bank program, which is going to sit with the existing commercial banks. But it's a new product that we are introducing where young people with business ideas could walk to any of these banks and then receive, soft terms or arrangement that allows them to receive sustainable financing for their programs or their businesses. Maybe not to provide collateral with minimal interest rate, long-term repayment period, number of interventions. All these things are going to help bring back many of these struggling businesses and a number of other interventions. And the focus of all these things is to be able to create jobs for young people. We need to engage them. And then also, as part of the Obatampa case, we want to focus on innovative agriculture in Ghana. So in the next medium term, if these things work, I don't see why in Ghana we should have in our budget 2021 an amount of about $2 billion for food importation, rice, poultry, all kinds of things into Ghana, sugar, among other things. About $2 billion is provided. Then you have young people who are energy, they have the education and skill, they are looking for jobs. You have lands. Ghana land is about 90% arable. So you have the land where you can plant the food. You have the money, $2 billion, which you can spend within 1 year. You have the young people who can till the land. So why the importation?
Since you've spoken about food, I mean, you've seen a sudden huge spike in prices. Some may be import related, some may be supply local challenges and all of it. I mean, you should definitely be worried about this. And the impact on inflation and cost of living.
Exactly. These are some of the critical things that I can tell you that going forward, government is going to promote active agriculture innovation to ensure. Do you know that when we government's successful program, the One District, One Factory, and I'm happy those who criticized it, at least they are seeing His Excellency President going around the country and commissioning many more of these factories across the country.
And it's impacting on food?
And it's impacting on a number of things.
Jobs?
Jobs. But let me tell you,
food?
The opportunity, I'll come to the food. The opportunity for young people is that the research I have seen says that all these, about 70 to 80% of these businesses or factories that government is opening is agro-based. And if you check, all these factories can operate up to 30% of their capacity because there is no constant regular supply of raw materials. So what it means is that you have 70% gap where you can just tap into, go into production or whatever. If it's pineapple, you are sure to have a confit factory immediately ready to buy. Okay? So when we have all these opportunities in the system, we just have to package it properly and create it into business for young people, and there'll be nothing like unemployment. So all these opportunities are being created, we are coordinating, and I can assure you very soon, we are going to ensure sustainable production of food, which can bring down the cost of food and all that in the country. So,
in terms of jobs and youth employment, do you think that the approach should change? Because this is not the first time I've heard government upon government, even MPP 1, now MPP 2, there were several job initiatives announced.
yes.
Don't you think that the strategy should change this time around? In this 1 million jobs that you say you're going to create, because the same thing is still not getting us the results.
Oh, we got the results, please.
There's still unemployment rate is very, very high.
Yes, it's not zero, but we got the results.
It has seen employment issues drop down.
Yes, in fact,
the
from
figures from your ministry.
15.5% to about 7.2%. Okay, check your current level
Data
of
from where
World Bank, wherever you want to check. From 2017 till today, there is consistent decline in unemployment situation in Ghana. What I admit to is that we still have high level of youth unemployment in the country. But even that, government has done a lot. It used to be in 2017, it used to be 48% according to the World Bank of young people looking for jobs. Today, the latest results came in 2020.
From the World Bank?
The same World Bank, they put it at 12.8%. So don't tell me there's been no results. We did NAPCO, we took about 100,000 young people off the street immediately. We did planting for food and jobs. Millions of jobs were created in the private sector. We did National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, created entrepreneurship skills and capacity, created about 100,000 jobs. We did one district, one factory. So yes.
But there are still agitations there. If these policies,
it's true.
And just like what some people will say that economics is about people, if all these policies are touching the right spot, we wouldn't see agitations all over.
No.
The Peace Council today was warning that if these things are not managed well, others could launch onto it for other reasons altogether.
It is true. I'm saying that you had a problem
of policies hitting the right spot.
It is. You had a problem of 48%. So today, if you are talking about 12.8% youth unemployment in the country, what does it tell you? It tells you that you have reduced the problem, but you have not eradicated it. There's still a challenge. What do we do with the double-digit youth unemployment? And that is what government is further strengthening the opportunities for more young people by introducing new programs that is targeting the youth bank, so that we can empower more young people in the private sector. At the same time, Ghana is out of IMF programs in terms of conditionalities and not recruiting. You have heard that there is now financial clearance for young people now to be recruited into the various security agencies, various ministries, and even universities are employing lecturers, among many things. So yes, we will continue to open up the economy and create more economic opportunities for young people. But it is true that unemployment is going down. If you check the data, check the graph from 2017,
according
you can
to
see
World Bank's data.
the same World Bank that you are comfortable with, or even IMF, or wherever.
Or Ghana Statistical Service.
Yes, if you are happy with Ghana Statistical Service, take the data. It has come down.
Okay.
Very, very down to single-digit levels as compared to where we picked it from. But even if you're in single digits, let's say if you have 7% of your total population who are looking for jobs, clearly these is in millions. You understand? These will be in high numbers. So even 10% of 30 million will give you 3 million. So 7%, you are looking about over 2 million people who are still looking for job in the system. So clearly, you will hear complaints that we are still looking for jobs. But that doesn't mean that government has reduced it from maybe 5 million to the 2 million we are talking about. And we have to appreciate that President Akufo-Addo's government has the clarity of what he wants to do when it comes to job creation. And so far, all the interventions he has done show that indeed we are making impact and we are doing more.
In terms of the COVID audit that is going to, when are we going to get a complete
COVID
expenditure audits that even the IMF itself proposed, because as to how the funds have been spent and all the rest. I know it's ongoing.
Yes, so that one, I think you should invite the Auditor General and ask him that question.
But from the ministry side, I mean, are you making
yes, we
progress?
have gone through the necessary processes, and once it's being audited, the Auditor General in the right time will come out with their reports.
Because there are still concerns about how expenditure allocations was done when it comes to corporate expenditure.
There's no problem with that. Nobody.
What do you make of those concerns?
Yes, people can have concerns, but...
Genuine?
Well, it could be genuine. If they have genuine, they should provide us with the basis for that genuine concern. We can resolve it. But I will not sit and say that we are 100%. Yesterday, as last week, the Auditor General came out with audit report from 2016 to 2020. They are talking about irregularities and non-compliance that led to unexplained loss of about 12 billion cedis. But these are systemic structural issues that are part of our governance. You get it? Sometimes I may have bought this phone. When the auditor comes, I said I bought it 2,000. He will see the phone. But if I cannot provide the documents that show that I bought this phone at 2,000, it will still be captured as money loss. So these things have to be explained. That the fact that we are complaining about auditing, auditor comes and he says that, yes, I saw the food, but I didn't see the receipt that covered the food, so you haven't bought the food.
I mean, with your background in finance, having an accountant and been done this practice as an accountant before, a lot goes into auditing. It is not somebody just walking to the office. I cannot see.
But we have read the report. Okay. I mean, it's not something you trace to people. You see, when people
negligence
hear that,
or deliberate corruption,
it can also be negligence and corruption. There are portions that are like that. But I'm saying that you should not interpret the whole thing to mean that, hey, then people have stolen the money. It's not like that. These are systemic inaccuracies that exist in our system. And I think today I was part of I went to do the official closure of the Internal Audit Agency conference. And I was telling them that they are the gatekeepers in our MMDAs. Much of these kind of correct financial procedures can be enforced if these internal auditors are, able to do their work very well. It will reduce, it will help to reduce some of these difficulties.
Doc, it might be a good time for us to take a short break and return back and look at how you're going to fund this Ghana Cares program, revenue as well, prudent expenditure, and the outlook going forward. This is PM Express Business Edition, as we engage the Deputy Minister of Finance, Dr. John Nkrumah, as we assess all these programs aimed at revitalizing the economy. PM Express Business Edition. We'll be right back. Welcome to PM Express Business Edition, as we engage the Deputy Minister of Finance, Dr. John Nkrumah, as we assess programs that have been put in place to help recover the economy in these times. Threats of third wave, how are we putting things in place to ensure that we end the economy on a good note? Doc, and we were talking about a whole lot of issues before we went on break, and we're back on that one. So this Ghana Cares program, how are you going to fund it?
Okay, so it has two components. Ghana government is raising 30%, which is 30 billion cedis in the medium term. And we are raising 70%, which is 70 billion from the private sector. So that's how it will be financed.
Let's look at arrears clearance. And I maybe it hasn't come up recently, but those past 2 months, we hear contractors complaining, we have service providers. What is the situation as we speak right now on the clearance of these arrears?
Yes, I can tell you that it's now on the downward trend now.
Are you
Government
paying?
have started paying, yes.
Or you're issuing bonds and...
Well, bond is payment. So we are paying them.
Okay. For all the sectors, a lot of things are being done.
Yes, we are paying them. With the fertilizer thing too, we are paying a number.
Have you started paying the fertilizer issues?
Yes, we started paying. Actually, we have paid a lot as at now, but there was some backlog which were outside the budgetary range. But in the mid-year budget review, the attention of the ministry was drawn to that. New arrangement has been...
All other things being equal,
yes,
when are we hoping that you're going to close the page on this?
Well,
because of its impact on food supplies in the country.
It is going well. I can tell you that all those arrears are being handled.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's come back to again COVID expenditure. And some are saying that, listen, did we do well in kicking start the process well for purchase of vaccines and supporting of medical doctors? Because some are saying that, listen, whilst other countries were kickstarting the process to buy vaccines, we were talking about, healthy eating is good, but we were just being taken aback.
No, you see, Ghana has been very well in COVID management. And I can tell you...
People are dying, Doc.
Well, yes, it's true. People are dying.
The numbers are going up.
Well, it is true, but we are far better.
If we want to look at that as a case management of managing things well,
yes,
some would differ with you on that.
880 as of today. If you want to check how many has died elsewhere, America, almost 1 million plus dead.
Population size are different, Doc.
Well, does it matter about population
Sorry,
size?
just make
same
okay.
disease. So what I'm saying is that Ghana has been one of the best managed COVID country in the world. And we are not just saying it. These are global references, okay? And so, but there is a general global politics when it comes to vaccines. From day one, government of Ghana has made provisions with money.
So you did make provisions?
Oh, yes. To be able
You're
to
not
buy
sitting
the
down
vaccines.
hoping that
Not
donors will bring you vaccines.
Well, we welcome...
You're talking about Ghana Beyond Aid.
We welcome any gesture of donations. We welcome it. But on our own, we have always been prepared with funding to buy these vaccines. But the reality is that there's global hoarding of these vaccines. And it's not just a Ghana situation. Every country is struggling, even with money, to be able to buy. And so the COVID vaccine situation is something that everybody has to appreciate. That it is not a problem with your government, that we don't intend to get the vaccines. We have always been ready. We have provided the financing, the money. But unfortunately, Ghana government and all other governments are finding it very difficult to get these vaccines. I mean, we know the politics that is going on between US and China and India and all kinds of these places where these vaccines are hoarded, in the EU and UK and everywhere. So we strongly believe that in time, some of these things will be relaxed. And we believe, especially from this month, so Africa has come together under the umbrella of the AU to be able to source these vaccines in bulk. And then we believe it gives us more leverage when we are united as a continent. And through that, last week, we just got delivery of about 177,000 of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So clearly, I believe it will ease up and we will be in a position to receive these vaccines so that we can achieve the herd immunity of the population.
Do I get the commitment from you, the assurance from you that you have made the necessary allocation pending closing of deals for those monies to be paid?
Oh, yes. In fact, from March in the 2021 budget, government made enough budgetary allocation of funds available.
How much are we looking at here?
This year, I think we made provision for COVID about 4.5 billion cedis. I don't have the exact figure, but it was around that range.
In all these things, yes, there's emergency, you need to save lives and all the rest. How are you also ensuring from the paymaster being the finance ministry about value for money and prudence as well? Yes, we are hungry, we need vaccines. How is the ministry ensuring that there's value for money and the right procedures are being followed?
Yes, Ghana is a country governed by laws. And we have enough laws to ensure that if you follow the procedure, there's this Public Financial Management Act, There is all kinds of financial regulations that must guide you in, Procurement Act, a number of financial provisions that should guide us in how we go about in disbursing funds in our country. So we will work by the law, and we will make sure that we work within the limits of the law. And of course, there's transparency in the country. If you are a ministry, I mean, Parliament can call you anytime to come and answer questions on how you did A or B and all that. So I think that there is enough system of checks and balances to ensure that we have transparency and accountability, and ensure that we don't, waste public resources.
I asked that, yes, these agencies are there, right? But from the accountant or for the paymaster's perspective as well, I mean, the current development going with the health ministry again raises issues about what happened at the not. I'm just looking at what happened at the Ministry of Finance in ensuring that these checkbox are checked before the funds are released.
You see,
and there's a concern out there.
Yes, I agree with those who have raised those concerns, but don't forget that there's always a rebuttable presumption that the ministry concerned has followed due process. As for Ministry of Finance, you act on request of the various ministries, and they are headed by ministries or ministers who are required by law to follow all due processes. All the Ministry of Finance does is to release the funding to the ministry concerned. You get it? That's why I'm saying there's a rebuttable presumption. So if the person doesn't follow due process and go through a certain process, and please, let's also not exaggerate about the enormity of recklessness when we know that since COVID came since last year, this same ministry has held the front and done things right until now. One error, of course, we are all
error of judgment
prone to. Of course, it was an error. It was an error of judgment, which he himself admits. But I'm saying that
procurement breaches has landed people in jail. Well, financial loss, but negligence has put people in jail.
Are we really talking about procurement losses?
No, I'm just making a general statement where.
But you see, what this particular transaction required was a parliamentary approval. You get it? That is what didn't happen. And I'm saying that even that, when you check our laws, from Article 107 of our Constitution, which deals with retroactive laws, it says that the only exception to such laws is from Article 178 of our Constitution to Article 182, which deals with financial provisions. So a minister could make an error not going to Parliament before spending. But after that, he's required to carry the same transactions to Parliament for approval, and he will be deemed to have done so retroactively. So if it's about financial transactions, we should be careful how we run to prosecute people to say they have done the wrong things.
Doc, 30 seconds, financial prudence, value for money going forward.
Yes, like I told you, we have enough laws to ensure that there's accountability, there is due process followed. The Financial Management Act, now we have giftments, we have all kinds of requirements within the law that ensures that public finances are prudently managed.
Dr. John Kumah, Deputy Minister of Finance. Time wasn't our best friend. We may have to do a part two of this one. Dr. John Kumah is the Deputy Minister of Finance as we assess the whole economy, spending, prudent spending, and what have you going forward. My name is George Jaffe. This has been PM Express Business Edition. Have a great day.